Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of Journey with PKD. I hope this message finds you well wherever you are in and on your journey. And we're going to dive right into this week's topic, which is your body and the journey. So it's a slight continuation from meditation and the journey last week and overall with the temptation and Lenten season that we're in. But I thought it fitting to talk about the container itself, not just what's going on inside, but how your actual container is part of the hero's quest as well. You may have noticed that your body goes with you wherever you go. So if you are expanding yourself, if you're growing your consciousness in a certain way, your body's going along for the ride. Again, for something small or for something large. You want to have a workout routine start and be better, it'll involve your body. You want to do something like public speaking, it's going to involve your body. You want to do some bigger life mission and endeavor, it's going to involve your body. And I think it's wise to remember that it is part of the equation. You, your form, your connection to this reality matters. It plays a part. It's not something to be thought of as secondary or just psychological, which I tend to think is a trap that we often do. We tend to think of things as it's only happening within us, but our bodies are the connecting point for all of the experiences that we are having on our quest. This is the form that we're in. This is our connection point with reality. All of our physical senses, energy centers within us, intellectual, emotional, spiritual, instinctual natures, and on and on and on. They're all happening within our bodies, and they go for the ride. So, for example, we can take Captain America, Steve Rogers. His quest is linked very much so from his massive heart in wanting to do the right thing through his, at the beginning, his scrawny, weak body that maybe couldn't. Right? He would help his friend out in the streets when bullies would come around. He would stand up and do the right thing, knowing that he would face pain and probably damage to his body. And isn't that interesting? Like, pain is an experience. The body is going to get hurt. You might get punched. You might lose that fight. But he was willing to go through it. Without going through that, there's no Captain America. There's no rising above and overcoming and facing tremendous odds and putting his body on the line through it all. And what's interesting is he gets a better body, a transformed body, because he passed the test of having the right heart for it. He had the will, the heart, the right, everything about what would be deserving of a super soldier body experiment. But with the body, it didn't change who he was. So there's a very fascinating mythos that's happening at the very heart and center of Captain America, that his heart was too big for his body, and everyone knew it. Everyone around him knew it. He wanted to do the right thing. Despite pain, even maybe losing his body, you name it, he was willing to do it. There's also the deprivation of our bodies. So this reminds me of Frodo and the ring. Not just the tempting force of the lure and the trap from what the ring and the power that it would try to possess somebody with, but also the deprivation that Frodo faced. There's that line at the end of Return of the King where he says, I don't remember the taste of food, Sam. I don't, the sound of water, the touch of grass. He's being deprived. He's being attacked. His physical senses are completely under fire, being tested. His physical body is being tested. You see this in Star Wars with great symbolism between Anakin and Luke, with hands being cut off at different points in their journeys. And there's a deeper symbolic connection with them through the lightsaber and the wanting to wield it in a father-son story. But the bodies themselves would take physical pain. Darth Vader's being the most acute because his was literally mangled, burned, severed. His breathing, everything was affected when it came to his body. And George Lucas put something amazing in there with a tie to perhaps his power in relation to the midichlorians, which we'll be doing a deeper dive video on Star Wars and the prequels and George Lucas in general in 2023. But the body was connected to Vader, to Vader's story, the fall, the tragic fall. His body went along with that. So is true of something like Rocky Balboa. The physical pain training montages involve the willingness to go through conditioning, tremendous training to just get to the ring, to then take all the punches, etc. But the training that's involved, your body has to go through that. Harry Potter. I love this example because J.K. Rowling was so brilliant in connecting the scar that's on Harry's head to the battle and struggle between light and dark and the communication with Voldemort, in the deeper symbolic sense of his parents that saved him and how it's etched into his that from that moment in time, it's etched into his physical body for the rest of his life. But that he experiences torture and pain more than his friends or anybody else could ever understand. It's connected to his story, this constant struggle and strife that he's under and facing in his quest. It's a physical manifestation. And this is where I think we sometimes forget. We think it's just mental, we think it's just psychological or even spiritual, which all of those things, yes, they're true, but it goes into the layer of the physical. Our forms get affected. If that weren't the case, there wouldn't be the journey necessarily, right? Like Steve Rogers, if he wasn't bullied, if he didn't have to rise to the occasion, if his body wasn't on the line, would we really have Steve Rogers? Rocky Balboa, if he didn't take all the punches, if he wasn't able to take it, would it really affect his story? In the same way, if he just didn't feel any pain or he didn't have to work hard to get there and prove everybody that he was worthy of contention at that level? Or Frodo, the deprivation, if that wasn't the case, if it was just a psychological thing, would it have the same impact? And I think we make the mistakes of just thinking it's psychological, but we know that's not even true with our sinful nature. Again, tying it in with Lent, our sins manifest themselves in our bodies. You can take any of them. Wrath. If you experience something like wrath in your life, the restrictiveness in your breathing, the manifestation of it in your body is there. That intense anger, what it's doing to your blood vessels and restrictions to your focus and what you're thinking about, that's part of the wrath or the envy, greed, lust. It does something to your body. You are experiencing something physiochemically. There's an actual change happening within your body within these experiences. It is not just something mental and physical or mental and psychological. It manifests physically, and that can inform if you then continue on or don't. So you could take public speaking in similar manner to Steve Rogers standing up to the bully. If he doesn't, what happens if you don't go up to the mic, don't go on stage for your performance, don't face that? You may think it in your mind that you're on this quest, but your body has to go with you. Where is your body in that? Are you going to go on the stage? Are you going to, even if you're scared? It's part of the equation that is you. It's part of the quest. If you're going from point A of something to a point B, it's there. It's not the most important part. It is a part. It's completely a part. It's part of how we experience things. And I think right there's a question one could ask themselves at the heart of all heroes' quests. If we know our bodies are limited and then that they're going away, that these forms will eventually go away, to ash, to dust. We all will go. Why do anything? You know, there's a question there. Why do anything? If you're Steve Rogers and you're Captain America, but your body's going to go and it doesn't really matter. And why do this? Why are you doing all this? If you're Rocky, why are you facing all the punches into the 12th, 13th round, just taking all the hits? What is motivating you to do all this? And our disposition, worldview, position on how we answer that question, that, well, what would you do it anyway if it's all going to go away? Is at the heart of the hero's quest. Because again, the Matrix itself does not want you doing any of this. It does not want you being free, liberating yourself, liberating others. None of that. It wants you in the trapped, plugged in an unhealthy way, and distracted and not fighting for these things. What does it matter? Why do these heroic things? You don't have to public speak. You don't have to fight the bully. You don't have to, just don't. But that's not true if you want to expand your consciousness and live the callings of your soul, which, as I mentioned in last week's episode, are inevitable for you to want to be free. So your body has to go with it. Doesn't matter if it loses a limb. Doesn't matter if it doesn't win all the time. That's not the point. It's that it engages with the heroic quest as well. Thor, to use another Marvel example, to get the axe, I think it's called Stormbreaker, not Mjolnir, the other hammer, but the axe, he has to put his body physically on the line to the force of a star to form it. The dwarven craftsman's like, and the force of a star will kill you. And he's like, I'm willing to die for it. And he's like, that's what killing you means. But his body's on the line to achieve something greater, he needs it to fight a bigger foe. So he's willing to do it. It's part of his quest to do that in that moment, to rise to that occasion. So what I'm trying to communicate is the body goes along with you. It's not something to be just completely discarded and it doesn't matter. It does. From my perspective and the journey perspective, it does matter, even though we know it's going to go away. In Lenten season as well, with Christ on his walk with the cross, being spit on, scourged, whipped, bleeding, the crown of thorns, that is part of it too. What he experienced, the crucifixion, that is happening to his form. And so that is part of Jesus's quest. And so it's there for all of us to remember that the body goes along with. Buddha and his temptations underneath the tree. Christ, why are you fasting for 40 days? Buddha, why are you sitting under that tree for 40 days? The body matters. So the matrix in the system is trying to hit you with everything. Back down. Don't do this. I'll hit you with lust, temptation, power, armies. You can rule over this, that. Your body's going to feel it in every possible sense, physiochemically. Wonder, excitement, emotions will be heightened, all these things. But how does it align with the quest? How does it align with what you are doing? Is it part of what you are doing? Are you aligning it to what you are doing? Again, I mentioned this, the heart-centered approach with why you want to public speak or get out there and expand yourself. What's it connected to? Something ego-serving or something more long-lasting and fulfilling? So that's what I wanted to bring up with your body and the quest and the journey. It does matter. It's the connection point. And don't forget that it does, because you may shy away from something. You may physically shy away from something. It's not just a mental and psychological experience. You will physically shy away, and you may move into it. You may say, I can put my body in a certain way in position to do this and still experience all the fear, doubt, but I'm going to move through it. I'm taking this form into it because this is my point in connection with all of reality. So there you go, everybody. Like, subscribe, and share. I hope that was helpful, maybe a different perspective and way to look at the body and your journey. And I hope you're enjoying this content. Keep on commenting. I love it, and I love seeing this community grow. So guys, wherever you are, take care, Godspeed, and hopefully you are enjoying your journey. Peace.